Hey, NoelleTheFirst here. So, understandably, I would think, I had a hard time picking a topic and making a video for this week. Unlike other YouTubers who are way more organized than I am, I don't pre-film. I have not yet gotten into that habit. So I am filming this and editing this and hopefully uploading this on Friday, March the 13th, 2020. And, basically the entire world, there is a global pandemic, right? So this is an unprecedented thing. And I kind of feel like, on the one hand, I can't just post a video about something else because it feels inauthentic. This is at the top of mind for me right now. On the other hand, I'm wondering, well, what on earth could I contribute to this conversation? And in some cases, people may not want to hear another piece of information, about this thing that we can't avoid right now. But what I thought I might share, since my channel does touch on a lot of mental health issues, anxiety, weaning off of anxiety meds, I thought I might talk about what it's like having an anxiety disorder or generalized anxiety during a time of global crisis. So, if that topic interests you, then go ahead and keep watching and hit the subscribe button. So I just want to touch on this, just a short video about anxiety, in this time where there's this unprecedented global crisis. And the irony of this is it's sort of making me realize my regular anxiety, my generalized anxiety, which I already know to some degree, but it really, really crystallizes how much that anxiety is created from my own thoughts and my own false beliefs and my own pressure. And it's made me understand that it tends to be focused on my fears of not measuring up as an individual and disappointing people and having people be angry with me. So one might think that somebody who's prone to anxiety would have an even greater issue during this time, and I'm sure that is true for many people. But for me, I'm not finding myself necessarily more anxious than I normally am. And in a way, having to face something that is very tangible and real kind of makes my mind calm down and sort of deal with reality, right? And kind of cut through a little bit of, the bullshit and the ego and just, focus on practical things. So I'm not trying to downplay the seriousness of what's going on and the precautions happening in society right now, but just as an individual, I find it very curious and very interesting that something very real, a very real threat, is not driving up my anxiety. And I was sort of thinking about that, and I realized that with this pandemic, everyone, literally everyone, right? The entire world is dealing with the same issue right now. And as a result, we are, having to sort of self-isolate and avoid crowds, social distancing, right? So in this odd way, we are physically having to isolate ourselves and not go to big social events. But yet, because everyone is being asked to do this, there is this feeling, at least for me, of being one in a collective, as part of this world, having to deal with this together, right? We are all in the same boat. And when I think about the anxiety, that I felt last year, I realize that it comes from a mental sense of isolation. Whether or not I'm physically isolated, it's a feeling of being isolated. It's a feeling of not belonging. It's a feeling of being different. It's a feeling of not measuring up. It's a feeling of worrying about what other people think of me, right? Being overly concerned with things like that. And it's really crystallized for me how much we get caught up in these false narratives that at the end of the day, we create ourselves and don't matter, right? And right now, when shit is hitting the fan, it's like, my brain has clicked into a different gear. And granted, I've already been working on this stuff, right? And I'm glad I did, because I think that if I was in the state that I was in last year, feeling very, very depressed and hopeless, I almost feel like this would have felt even more like an extension of that. And because I've been doing a lot of work on, trying to break through this negative self-talk, and build up my strength and my confidence, I do feel like I'm able to deal with this crisis in a practical way. I don't find myself panicking. I find myself preparing, like many people hopefully are, and abiding by the rules that the CDC suggests we follow. But I don't find myself panicking, and I don't find myself having a higher than usual degree of anxiety. So I just thought that was an interesting observation. And again, this is not me trying to downplay the seriousness, of what's going on right now. The other thing that I want to mention is I've seen a lot of different posts from people, and it's very, very clear that everybody copes with stress and worry in very different ways, And so I'm just trying to be aware of that and sensitive to that. Now, I know that for me and many of my friends, we interject humor into a lot of things, dark humor, right? And that's our way of coping. That's our way of normalizing things. That's our way of kind of, diffusing things and making them feel less scary, right? But I also understand that other people don't necessarily respond to humor well. So, I tend to keep those exchanges more in texts and with my close friends and off of social media, because I've seen some people posting about how hurt or annoyed they are or offended that other people are joking about this. And, what I'll say is everybody deals with things differently. And I think that if someone wants to or feels more comfortable giving this weight and expressing their worry and expressing their sadness, they should be able to. Other people, I understand, because I am like this, do use humor to try to take away some of the scariness of the situation. So, try to be understanding about that either way, and not react or judge people for it. Now, I have to say that I am very, very fortunate, and I realize that in the kind of work that I do, because the bulk of it is done from my house, from my closet home studio, from my desk, which is directly to my left over here. And, so my work lifestyle is not changing that much. I will say that having that lifestyle already, very often by the end of the day, sometimes I have a sense of having cabin fever, right? So obviously during this time, like many people, that's going to be, a really challenging thing. But, I and my husband and I and our friends, we are respecting and following the rules of the CDC, but we're also not stopping ourselves from going out. So we are actually going to meet our friends at a restaurant tonight, and they happen to mention it's in their neighborhood, and they passed by yesterday. It was completely empty, right? So I think if the four of us go to a restaurant that is, for the most part, empty, I think that's still abiding by, the rules of, avoiding crowds and things like that. But we want to still be able to try to give small businesses, local businesses, our business as much as we can. But anyway, if you like this video, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. And I would love to hear from you. Are you someone who suffers from anxiety? And how is this time affecting that? Do you find yourself really, really anxious, or, are you finding yourself less so, or are you about the same? But anyway, I would love to know. If you have any questions, comment below. But thank you for watching.